Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana was out to kick off this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. This makes sense, it's our world champion. Also, hello my friends, and welcome to the premiere and only wrestling review show you do need in your life, which is absolute nonsense because you do not need a wrestling review show in your life. But I'm very appreciative that you do come down, otherwise I would be in a lot of trouble. But I do have the finger of power, I do have opinions, and I do have some thoughts, especially about this latest episode of All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite. So let's take the fop, give the good bits an up, the bad bits are down. Swerve and Nana did want to talk about William Ospreay though, because of course at the upcoming Forbidden Door pay-per-view, they're going to have a wrestle for the world title. Strickland saw this as two killers going at each other. When he corrected himself, he was like, that's not true. When it comes to William, he doesn't have the killer instinct, which means he actually wants Ospreay to develop this so he can murder people. So we were starting off pretty damn dark. Swerve then tied this into his past, because he's like, there's a reason people do call me Kill Shot, when he promised at the earliest opportunity to pull the trigger. I was like, my word, we're only 5 minutes in and there's a lot of death. He still respects William Ospreay though, which is not the case for the EVPs, as he started firing shot at the Elite. And I was like, man, Swerve, I think you should be doing this. As per Wrestling Rule 14.8 though, out came the Elite. Man, I tell you, this Okada, he is just the best asshole heel, because he took the microphone, he said, whose house? It's my house, bitch. I don't know who taught him that word, but my goodness, he loves it. Nicholas Jackson then continued to talk about killers, because he's like, well, we are definitely killers, because not only are we taking out Kenny Omega, not only did we take out Eddie Kingston, but let's go back to the Anarchy in the Arena match, we took out half of Team AEW. So yeah, sure, the Jacksons are well aware that the trolls and bots on the internet don't believe in their violence ways, and neither does the AEW locker room. Well, why don't they provide more evidence? Because in a few weeks, that's right, they are challenging some peeps to blood and guts. I'm like, man, this stuff's getting serious. Matthew then grabbed the microphone and he was all like, Swerve, we actually do really like you. We think we're super cool. And given that Blood and Guts is usually 5-on-5, why don't you be the 5th member on our team? Also, just as a little sweetener, look, it's our brand new sneaker and we are going to gift it to you. Very sadly for them though, Swerve told them, well, I don't wear a size 9, as he got Prince Nana to hurl this shoe into the crowd. I'm going to assume that means no. The Elite then declared the injury bug is about to attack you, Swerve, which means they were going to beat his ass, when of course some friends came out to save the day, and it was the acclaimed and daddy-ass Billy Gunn. Now once again this does make sense, because Max Caster and Anthony Bowens for the last few weeks have been going, Matt and Nick Jackson, we don't like you. It's also totally nuts, because it probably means when we get to Blood and Guts, that Billy Gunn is going to be in that thing. I tell you, 2024 keeps surprising you. This is where Christopher Daniels walked out, and as always, he is basically like a mouthpiece for Tony Khan. He was like, listen, all you guys need to get out the ring, except you, Jack Perry, because you were about to take on Dustin Rhodes to see who goes on to Forbidden Door to be in that ladder match to become the brand new TNT champ. Jack definitely wasn't aware of this either, because he wasn't even in his wrestling clothes, but I actually quite enjoyed this, because not only are we building Blood and Guts, which is going to happen in July, I believe, we're also building to the Forbidden Door, so that's just lots that you can get excited about. I also like Swerve as world champion. When we shall take a slight detour and just give a shout out to this sign that called Adam Wilborn here at What Culture the only true wrestling journalist. And then it had a little Simon, you should give this an up in the corner. And as always, I am but your soldier and your humble servant. And also, yeah, Adam Wilborn, man, he breaking those stories all of the time, and he's just a good dude to boot. So this is all getting it up. When Street Dress Jack Perry did indeed take on Dustin Rhodes, and this Dustin, I know age is just a number, and it doesn't matter, but sometimes you can't help those thoughts get in your brain, and given that he is over 50 years old, my word, he deserves his flowers. Now, Rhodes was able to whip Perry's ass until Jack decided, I'm just going to use my wrestling friends here, because not only did he throw him into Rita the Ring Post, he also threw him into Simba the Steel Steps. He was also going to smash him into concrete, and Dustin was like, no boy, I'm going to do that to you instead. And he did. From nowhere then, Dustin Rhodes was bleeding, so he must have cut himself open from somewhere. And Jack Perry must have realized this, because he started doing Kenny Omega poses, but you cannot do that in a wrestling match. I mean, it pissed off Dustin something fierce, and he hit him with the snap power slam. For all this too, Jack had thrown a chair into the ring, so this tied in, because as soon as the referee had to get rid of it, Rhodes was like, all right, fine, and he booted Perry right in the balls with the Shattered Dreams. I mean, why not? If you hate penises, it's a good thing to do. But also led to a really good near fall after this crossroads. It was a proper 1-2-ooh. When they spilled back out to the outside, this is when Jack Perry got really mad, because the exposed concrete was there again. And that's right, this time Dustin's head went right into it. Sheesh. This almost caused Dustin Rhodes to get counted out, and the referee was like, oh, are you okay, are you okay? And essentially Dustin kind of pushed her out of the way because he wanted to keep on fighting, which is when Jack Perry learned what revenge was. That's right, he kicked Dustin right in his groinal area. Also allowed him to hit the big running knee to get the 1, 2, 3, and as always that rhymes, so he must have done something right. And also keep that one in your brains. This is the second time that Jack Swerve has used that knee to end a match. What are we cooking? We also made sure that Dustin flipped him off before all that too, which I also like because he's just so damn defiant. I still kind of think that Jack Perry should go on to that ladder match at Forbidden Door and become the champion. Not only would it be good for his old return that he's in the midst of right now, but in terms of the Elite, every single one of them would hold a belt. And that's just a smart thing to do when you have a heel group. This was good. We then saw some highlights from Collision. I say highlights, it definitely wasn't a highlight if your name was Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy, because it was indeed the Don Callis family beating their ass. Damn. This literally kept being with Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Mark Briscoe. And all you need to know is that we gave the microphone to Mark Briscoe and he cut the best tag promo you've ever heard in your life. I think at one point he said the word of the day was conglomerate. I don't know, but he's so entertaining, someone give him a medal. He definitely made everybody laugh during this too. And when Renee then turned to Orange Cassidy and said, "How are you feeling?" he was like, "Yeah, I'm not feeling good at all." Willow Nightingale, who had turned up, definitely burst out laughing for real. And that just made all of this warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum stuff. And it made you want to get behind the good guys. It doesn't matter how we get here, as long as we do get here. So I'm going to give this an up. Every single person in this was an absolute delight. When Roosh killed Dion Roosman. I mean, obviously. But this was quite cool because it turns out that Dean is actually a student from the Black and the Brave Academy, which is where Seth Rollins is the head trainer. But yeah, he got in the ring here. And Roosh was like, "I'm going to smash you so hard in the head with my knees that I'm going to pin you for the 1, 2, 3. And he did. He'd also violently thrown him into Barry Barricade before this, so quite clearly he does know what he's doing when he cut a big old promo saying, "I'm the best and MJF, you suck." And as per wrestling rule 14.8, Maxwell must have heard this. He appeared at the ringside area and they just got into it with a mega brawl. Now security tried to break this up, but as we do know, wrestling security absolutely sucks, especially if they are bald. And even though Christopher Daniels is out here, they weren't able to stop these two hosses going at it. I'm pretty sure at one point MJF even bit this man, which was a choice. And because, like I say, nobody could break them up, they fought all the way to the back. Friedman then smashed through a table when finally the entire building ran in to stop them. As Excalibur told us, "Oh, I've just been informed that next week at the start of Dynamite, these two men shall clash. And you know what? There's going to be no commercial breaks." All of this did work though, and I am super intrigued about the match because there's no way MJF is going to lose, but you don't want to mug off Roosh either, so this actually has that jeopardy in your Tootsie Toes that you need to keep you on your feet. Just repeat myself there. What an absolute idiot, but I shall give it an up. It has got me. When we did indeed get Roderick Strong, Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita taking on Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe and Kyle O'Reilly. And look, here's the thing. The Undisputed Kingdom was with Strong, as you would expect, but there was no Wardlow. And when Roderick Strong does have a 6-man, and he kind of leaves Matt Taven and Mike Bennett on the outside, even though it did tie into the story, I just kind of look at that group, especially with what happened with Adam Cole, which wasn't their fault, and go, man, just hasn't really worked at all. I just kind of think they need to be going after the trios titles or something, and again, Wardlow has completely vanished into the abyss, which is like the 5th time we've done that during his AEW career. I don't know why it stood out to me here, but once again, what I just said did rhyme, which means I must be on the right path. And for me personally, it's a down. This match totally ruled though, because of course it did, and we had Don Callis on commentary, and Trent was standing behind him, I guess because he knew that wrestling security sucks and he needs to take control. The two cars then started in the ring before Briscoe and Takeshita took over, when I think Orange Cassidy realised, man, I feel left out right now, and he did a big old crossbody. That didn't work at all though, because Takeshita caught this Orange and just totally murked him. I was like, yeah, that'll do it. Thankfully everybody then got involved, which allowed Cassidy to take his med pack when he dove onto everyone, where he saw Trent at the coppery table, so he stared at him, and Trent stared right back at Orange Cassidy, because as we know in wrestling, that means things are super duper serious. Although if I was Orange, I'd be a bit like, don't need to worry about you, I've whooped your ass a lot. It was a huge error though, because of course it meant he totally forgot he was in the match, so Takeshita saw him, and he was probably a bit insulted, so he just smashed him right in the back of the head, and probably got some juice. Alrighty, they made the warm tag, so of course Roderick ran away, because he's like AJ Styles, and he don't want none. Although when he tried to sneak back in, Mark Briscoe saw this, and he just run through this guy. This was totally woefully fun. Orange then tagged back in as flipping Mark Briscoe did a blockbuster to the outside, because he is totally crazy, when Orange looked at Kyle Fletcher and gave him a tornado DDT for a 1-2-0. Briscoe then thought he was able to get the Dre-Gilla, when Takeshita turned that into the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the Blue Thunderbomb. Did it work? Of course it didn't. It never does. From then distracted orange, which allowed Fletcher to hit this crazy brainbuster into the ropes when Mark Briscoe came off the top with a froggy bow, and that resulted in another 1-2 ooh, and at that point I was like, man, I'm doing it. The dance of joy. Strong and O'Reilly were then at loggerheads as the referee tried to calm them down when Takeshita decided he was going to power up his knee. Sounds a bit weird. But he did indeed smash Briscoe with this when Carl Fletcher remembered, wait a minute, I think I'm the legal man now. And he gave Mark a powerbomb, not a powerbomb, a pile driver, and he pinned him for the 1-2-3. And I gotta say, all plaudits to AEW, I did not think that team was going to win. As I always tell you, this is the kind of jeopardy we need. Trent then teleported to the ring because he hates Orange Cassidy so much as all the bad guys were about to do some bad stuff. When Willow Nightingale's music started to play, and I loved that. She didn't care about the numbers, she was going. Sadly for her, she can't have been watching her back because she got thrown out of the entrance tunnel because, of course, Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander must have snuck up and they murked her. Stokely then told Willow, if you do this again, we're going to be dragging your ass to the ER. So I like all of these feuds, especially because they are coming together, but especially Chris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale. If we give that time, my word, it's going to be so damn good. And all of this in my pot. Getting it up. Fenix then promised to defeat Will Ospreay in their match later, although he did this through the words of Renee Paquette, so why the hell not, when we got quite the surprise entrant in the Owen Hart Cup. Because it is indeed going to be New Japan's Shingo Takagi. And I tell you, the amount of people who are going to be in this thing, it really could be very, very good. Christopher Daniels then back, and it really made me laugh, because he started his promo like this. I'm back. I was like, oh man, he must be a model. He has decreed though that next week all of the Elite are going to be in eliminator matches to see who's going to become the #1 contenders for their titles, and as will be the way, all seconds and all managers will be totally banned from ringside. Now listen, I'm going to be a massive nerd here, you have to forgive me, but if Christopher Daniels knows that if he doesn't enforce this rule in other matches, there is going to be interference, why the hell wouldn't you always enforce this rule? So it doesn't actually matter, but yes, if you do the math, it is 2 + 2 = potato. It's like we're aware of it, but we only care about it when you do it. That's not fair, and it would actually give some justification for the Elite being mad. Also, they're the EVPs, so they could just say to all the other matches, well, you're getting this too? I don't know, this really isn't a big deal. Still getting it down. Somebody shoot me. When we had the best part of Dynamite. I loved it. Because it was indeed Samoa Joe and Hook teaming up to take on Ari Daivari and Tony Nese as teased last week. And only at one point was Shibata being the cameraman, which pleased me doubly, because of course it means these three are back together again. Samoa Joe has totally taken Hook under his wing, and now we're seeing it happen in the ring. It rhymed again. Because at one point the Premier Athletes were going to attack Hook off the top rope, where he did Samoa Joe's nope spot. When he looked at Joe, like a proud dad, he was just like, man, you've done it, son. And I'm going to watch that clip for the rest of my entire life. So essentially what's happened here is that Samoa Joe has become the Batman to Hook's Robin, and if we keep doing this, it's going to be so damn good. And look, you knew what was going to happen here. And eventually, the entirety of the Premier Athletes were in submission holds, including Mark Sterling on the outside, who was being choked by Shibata. And seriously, the way he sold that, fabo. They all passed out as well, which meant this match did come to an end, and it took around about 5 minutes to make me go, yeah, I love all these three people together. Make them the trio's champions. It is getting it easy up. Stephanie McCare then promised us during a video that she was going to defeat Mercedes Moné at Forbidden Door. And I like this because it calms the crazies down as we keep getting the information. Plus, it was very well timed because Mercedes then came to the ring. That is not her dance. She was also about to face Stephanie's tag team partner from CMLL, which I doubly liked, because that's a nice, easy story. She likes Steph for obvious reasons, so now she's going to beat up her enemy. I'm also probably going to get the name totally wrong, so you have to forgive me, but it was Zeuxis, which actually is the greatest name ever heard by me. We also put the TBS title on the line here, which I also thought was a good idea, because it just created a little bit of more narrative, because the commentators were able to go, well, if Mercedes does lose here, when we get to the pay-per-view, only the New Japan Strong Women's Championship will be on the line. But of course, Mercedes Moné did win. I mean, come on. Zeuxis also pretended to be Mercedes at one point because she was doing the dance, but Mercedes didn't like that, so she hit her with an arm drag, when these two just went off. And at one point, they went to the outside, and they were doing moves off the announce table onto the floor. And I tell you, they both very good at the grappling. Zeuxis was so mad about that, though, she did a big old dive. And I think maybe now I'll just call her Zeus, because I like the idea of Zeus coming down from the Greek mountains, getting into wrestling, and deciding to do a dive. What the hell are we talking about? Moné then reversed the fireman's carry into a Hurricane Rana to get a 1-2-ooh when Zeus came back with a Meteora for a 1-2-ooh of her own. Honestly, these two had really good chemistry. It was also just wrestling tennis at this point because it was like, you go, I go, we're all going to go. When Mercedes decided she was going to get for the three amigos, and she got two of them on the last one, Zeus turned it into this, like, power slam, power bomb, lung blower thing. And if that had finished the match, I actually would have believed it. It only got a 1-2-ooh. What a great move. Sadly though, she then went for a moonsault, and as we know, the success rate of a moonsault in 2024 is super duper low. Mercedes got out of the way and she hit the Moné maker, and she got the 1-2-3. So I really did think this was great, and let's definitely make sure we bring Zeus back, because she's got the magic in her toes. Whatever that means, it is definitely getting an up. And also, Mercedes Moné, she is definitely one of the best wrestlers in the world. We then continued to quiet down the crazies, because we did have another video package for Mina Shirakawa, which was also very good, when we cut out to timeless Toni Storm quite literally patting Mariah May on the head. Why not? May was also so thankful because Tony had got her into the Owen Hart Cup tournament, and we know where that's going to go. But there was another reason for her excitement. That's because Mina is going to be on Dynamite again next week. She's going to sign the contract with Toni Storm. And the Timeless One did not like this. But Kevin also told Storm that she's going to be facing Alex Windsor on Rampage. Let's hope we have a video for Alex too. Otherwise, well, you know the deal. And yep, we did it again. Somebody called Britney Spears. But it was TV time with Chris Jericho, and you know my thoughts on talk shows when it comes to pro wrestling. I just think they need a little bit of an elongated break across all promotions. But again, what do I know? I really do seem to be in the minority though, because I'm quite enjoying this new Chris Jericho character, especially the association with Brian Keith. I mean, that man is just killing it. Jericho also plugged his brand new t-shirt, which apparently has somehow sold out even though it's only been on sale for 15 minutes. When he turned to the folk of Iowa, he was all like, listen, I tried some of your corn. You need to come and get some lessons from me, and I'll teach you how to make proper corn. That's the right kind of ridiculous for me, because not everything has to be serious, especially because Brian then got the mic and he said, listen, if you are going to grow some lame-ass corn, you better respect Chris Jericho. And I pondered on this, and I was like, yep, that is the best sentence of 2024. Private Party then came to the ring, I guess because they had thought about the fact that the Learning Tree had told them to become Public Party, and they were very ready for education here, because they were like, Chris Jericho, please teach us the ways of the top rope. Jericho did have some advice for them as well, which was win more matches, which also made me laugh, when he was like, yes, I totally get this. I shall climb atop of Tina the Turnbuckle, and I shall show you what you're getting wrong. Private Party also called in the Caitlin Clark of AEW, so I'm not going on social media after that one. And just as it looked like Jericho was, I don't know, going to do a flip or something, Private Party proved that they must have watched The Karate Kid, because they swept the leg. They also mugged off Big Bill and Keith by throwing them out the ring when they hit all the flippy-dippy moves onto Chris Jericho. When I was like, wait a minute, are we going to do Private Party versus Big Bill and Brian Keith? Because actually, I'm totally all right with that. I just think it's a good showcase of talent. And look, once again, I don't think all of this needs to be situated around a talk show. It could have just been a segment, but talk about semantics here. And I actually think all of this was pretty damn good. Now, I'm not saying this one did, but it doesn't need a lot of time to get the stuff across, which is kind of ironic. But in terms of the direction I think it is headed in, I'm going to give it an up. As long as I'm entertained, what do I care? And I tell you I was sports entertained. We then had another video confirming that the Forbidden Door is going to be John Moxley versus Naito for the IWGP World title, which should be really good. When the Bang Bang Gang were back, because they are a foursome again. They also want to face the House of Black on Collision, because it is the Hob. They just turned the lights on and off during this. I was like, man, I really like it. It also sounds like they want to defend their trios belts under the Freebird rule, which I'm also totally fine with. And my main takeaway from this is that, yeah, we probably should put them in a proper feud for those three-way belts. Sometimes they do kind of vanish into the background. We shall see. Daniel Garcia versus Nick Comoroto after this, and I'm just pleased finally someone has gone, wait a minute, we need to do more with Dan, and somebody has pulled the trigger. Probably Swerve. I also do want to shout out my mortal in-ring wrestling enemy Tate Mayface here, because if you did see Collision last week, you will know that he also took on Daniel Garcia. As much as he has ruined my life inside the wrestling though, I suppose it's like Stockholm Syndrome, because I was just so proud of this guy. He has busted his ass. Here's to the next one. It also all tied in too because Garcia had kind of run through Tate on Saturday night. So here he was taking on the bigger man in Knock Comoroto, Nick Comoroto, who the hell is Knock? And even though Comoroto tried to do a gorilla press, Daniel Garcia was like, nope, he roughed him up, hit a Saito suplex when he smashed him with the Impaler DDT, and he beat him for the 1, 2, 3. I did it again. Interestingly too, both MJF and Will Ospreay were watching from backstage, and Renee found Will here and asked his thoughts, because of course Dan wants his international championship, and Ospreay was like, look, I can't think about this right now, because I am focused on the world title. So I do like the fact that we continue to cross these streams, and also when they do clash, you kind of feel like Daniel Garcia has to win, but how the hell do you pull that one off? It's going to be like a magic trick, but I like the direction. Up. When Pac may have won the day. He was talking about the fact that ever since he has returned to AEW, he just loses and loses and loses, and he's meant to be a bastard, but because of this, he's basically a bitch. I'm like, man, AEW loves that word. The positive spin, however, is that it's made him angry again, which is why he is entering the Owen Hart Cup tournament. And again, the sheer lineup of this is going to come across like the most important thing ever. Good. It also means his plan now is to go after the world title at Wembley Stadium, and personally I would totally love that, although I don't think it's going to happen. When he told the Bang Bang Gang, no, I haven't forgotten about you either, so hopefully that Jay White match is incoming. This was all great though, as was our main event. Good grief. Now, as always, a few people always meet this with negative energy and go, Simon, this sucks. But at this stage, if you don't know what to expect from Will Ospreay versus Fenix, I cannot help you. It's like sitting down in Pizza Hut and going, what do you mean I can't have a burger? It was just totally bonkers, and we made sure to continue the story here because Swerve Strickland was watching from ringside. So when Ospreay arrived, he had that signed contract that Prince Nana had sent to his house, and he gave it to the man. It's on. They both then hit the go button, and there is no point me standing here and trying to explain this to you, because one, I won't do it justice, and two, eventually my brain is going to get overloaded and I'll fall on the floor. Just know that it was absolutely brilliant. I also just want to focus on one particular spot that sent me absolutely loopy, because I think that Will Ospreay was going for the Spanish Fly. Fenix blocked it, which meant they were in this funny position, when from nowhere, Will busted out what I can only describe as like a spinning, flipping power slam doodah. And I was like, I don't think I've ever seen that before. And did these schmoes make it up on the fly? Because if so, I'm just going to lay down for the rest of my days. I am never going to be able to top this. Phoenix then matched that with this crazy crucifix bomb, which would have killed anybody else, when they both started going for finishers and everybody was reversing everything else. I mean, it hurt my eyes. It was going so fast. I'm only half kidding. Phoenix then avoided the Oz cutter before Will Ospreay went, all right, well, I missed one, I'll hit you with another one, which did get him a 1-2-ooh. And when Phoenix went to do a cut of his own, Will Ospreay hit him in midair with a hidden blade. I was like, I'm sorry, that is absolutely stupid. Phoenix before that had also hit this insane Hurricane Rana, but eventually at this point, William went to the top rope and he looked at Swerve Strickland, and Swerve Strickland looked at him, because it is super serious, when he hit the Swerve Stomp and finished Phoenix off with the 1-2 blade. Uno, dos, tres. And once again, no, I have not done this justice on purpose, because I'm just not going to be able to match up to their level, but just find 15 minutes today if you like this kind of thing and sit down with it. You will have the best time of your life. We also had a bit of an in-ring scuffle between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland after this, although it wasn't on the microphones, you could only hear it through the camera audio, but I like that when wrestling does it. Kind of makes it feel more real. Ospreay did try to shake Strickland's hand, but Swerve was all like, no man, this ain't no game, we're talking about careers, and there ain't no way you have enough maturity to hold two belts on your shoulders, which was when Will was like, all right, and he snatched that title away, and he did actually stand there with two belts on his shoulders. He can do it. Strickland then aggressively retrieved his championship, as he's all like, man, you're lucky I consider you a friend. Otherwise, I would kill you. I was like, man, this whole episode has been sponsored by Death when they stared off against each other. But once again, I thought this was quite good, because they have no reason to hate each other personally, but now the tension is building, because they both want this belt. We're also going to throw out one of the crime counter, because of course that was a death threat, but I just thought this was a great way to end Dynamite. We are pitching these two as equals, and like, well, who the flub is going to win here? We don't need to repeat what I always say, because I always say it. But a round of applause. Good. I also have no idea what's going to happen, which means I'm going to have to tune in next time. And in terms of the last few weeks, I thought this was the best AEW Dynamite for a while. Now, of course, please do let me know what you think about the damn thing in the comments below. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And click this. Boom! It is ups and downs for Raw, so you can enjoy all of my takes on wrestling. And then you can yell at me too. And doesn't that sound nice? Yes, it does. Goodbye.